With some developers, you can expect certain tropes or design elements to be present in their creations. With Keiji Inafune, you can expect things to be blue, 2D, and full of questionable villain designs, all of which are present in Inti Create's latest collaboration with the founder of Concept in Azure Striker Gunvolt. I'm gonna be honest, this was going to be a full-length review. I beat the game in Mighty Gunvolt, recorded as much footage as I could, and began writing up a couple pages as per usual. But after multiple attempts to iron out a final draft and giving it some thought, my conclusion is that there's not enough to say about Gunvolt to warrant a full-length review. Let's be clear, it's not a bad game, but it is grossly standard as far as 2D platformers are concerned, and one of the less memorable entries of 2014. Azure Striker Gunvolt harkens back to the stage selection of the classic Mega Man and Mega Man X, as you run, jump, and tag your enemies through 12 stages. Like Mega Man, you gain more weapons after defeating your enemies, but the arsenal you assemble is nowhere near as unique or as versatile as the Blue Bomber, as each weapon is a variation of your standard shot. One of them can be charged, another one can go through walls. The biggest problem is also the game's main hook. Unless you've already played through a level, you're not going to know when an enemy will appear and when to shoot, which means you have to slow down to tag and take them down or charge your watts. It's a game that is meant to be played multiple times to get the best time and rank, but the fact that it requires multiple attempts in order to get the most of them does not lend itself well to a well-built speedrunner. For example, a good speedrunner like Super Meat Boy can be enjoyed the first time around as you learn the mechanics the game presents you and come back to them with a greater understanding of how best to use the tool under your belt. Each level is meant to progress the challenge further and further, introducing new concepts and testing the player's skills to beat a level while minimizing the time to reach the end, something which Gunvolt stumbles over from the starting gate. The Tekken system requires you to constantly slow down and wait around for enemies to die or stop and charge your watch, which breaks the fast-paced flow of each level. None of the levels themselves are badly designed, but there's very little to praise them for. They utilize the game's main hook, but not in a way that pushes the game to a higher level, more to meet the use the main mechanic in level quota. Once again, compare it to Shovel Knight, where the level design is built off of every previous one to challenge the player while keeping things interesting for the player. Speaking of challenge, that's another thing that Gunvolt lacks. Whenever you take a hit, you lose some watts instead of health as long as you have some watts left. But since you can keep pressing down to repeatedly charge your watts completely, there's no tension to having low watts. This, coupled with some incredibly overpowered skills, completely destroys any challenge the game throws at you aside from pits and the occasional one-hit kill, especially in boss battles where you can keep pressing down to keep your watts charged and wait for your enemy to become vulnerable, strike, then keep pressing down until it's safe to attack again. The story is barely worth mentioning outside of a poor translation, and once again slows down what should have been a much more fast-paced platformer. The game does look great, featuring some of the best sprite work on the 3DS eShop outside of WayForward's works, but the sound is completely unremarkable. Again, there's nothing particularly wrong with the music or sound effects by themselves, but there is something wrong when I can't remember a single track despite beating the entire game. It may sound like there's nothing but negatives to attach to Gunvolt, but like the level design, there's nothing to praise in a game where the greatest achievement it accomplishes is not doing things completely wrong. If you're a fan of Inafune's work and you're looking for a snack to sate your hunger until landing number 9, Gunvolt will serve you just fine. If you're not, then this won't make you one. Between this and Yaiba Ninja Gaiden Z, it's a little worrying to see what Concept has in store for Kaio King of Pirates and Mighty number 9, and I say that as somebody who backed the game. Then again, Soul Sacrifice was pretty decent, so who knows, maybe it'll be a return to form. And maybe people will start complaining about a woman being the community manager as if it'll make the game any better or worse. Both are possible, but my skepticism remains for the two. This is Kaz, now playing Azure Striker Gunvolt. Until next time, game on my friends.